Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a sprawling primary source text to unpack its foundational tenets. Specifically, we're going to explore how it intertwines a highly abstract covenant of faith with incredibly specific, concrete rules for everyday living. If you've ever wondered how sweeping theological concepts are grounded into practical, day-to-day community laws, well, this text provides a masterclass in that exact transition. We are going to break down the structure of this text together, examining how it moves from the cosmic all the way down to the concrete.
To keep things clear, here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the foundation, move through the historical pledges, examine the decrees of personal piety, look at the laws for the community, and finally wrap up with the ultimate divine authority.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the foundation, defining the covenant. So, before outlining any specific community rules, the source material lays down the groundwork of what it actually means to be a believer. According to the text, this foundational covenant is the absolute ultimate guide for the righteous. Right off the bat, in the opening verses, it heavily emphasizes a few key pillars: belief in the unseen, the establishment of regular prayer, and giving from what has been provided. You see, it isn't just an internal feeling, it is an active, living pledge. The text explicitly links internal certainty, specifically certainty of the hereafter, with external tangible actions like charity. These individuals, the text states, are the ones upon guidance from their Lord, and they are defined as the successful. The text then immediately sets up a really sharp dichotomy, contrasting these successful believers against those who break the covenant. It describes the disbelievers as having a seal on their hearts and states that they have actually bartered error for guidance. To explain this, the text uses some incredibly vivid imagery. It compares them to a person who kindles a fire, only to have the light suddenly taken away, leaving them in a deaf, dumb, and blind darkness. In another absolutely striking metaphor, it likens their state to being caught in a terrifying cloudburst from the sky, full of darkness, thunder, and lightning, where they literally press their fingers into their ears in fear of death. It's a highly dramatic way to illustrate the severe consequences of severing this foundational covenant.
Moving right along to Section 2, the historical pledges tracing the covenant.
Rather than just presenting this theology in a vacuum, the text traces this exact same pledge chronologically across generations. Starting with Adam's era, it details his slip in the garden caused by Satan, but importantly, it ends in God's mercy and guidance. Then we move to Moses' era. The text recounts the dramatic trials of the children of Israel, how they were saved from Pharaoh when the sea was parted, yet still turned to worshiping a calf when Moses was away for 40 nights. Next, it highlights Jesus, noting he was given clear proofs and supported with the Holy Spirit. And finally, it anchors heavily on Abraham's era, specifically focusing on his role in establishing the sanctuary.
And this brings us to Abraham, who is essentially the text's ultimate historical model for the covenant. He is the complete archetype of submission. The text recounts how he and Ishmael raised the foundations of the house, asking to make their descendants a submissive community. When his Lord told him to submit, Abraham didn't hesitate for a second. He responded with this powerful declaration of pure monotheism: "I have submitted to the Lord of the worlds." He is presented not as a Jew or a Christian, but as the pure monotheist who set the gold standard for the covenant.
Next up, Section 3, Decrees of Personal Piety, Transitioning to Law.
Now, after establishing these historical parables and the overarching concept of the covenant, the text makes a massive shift. It moves from abstract faith and history to what we can call divine decrees, highly specific practical rules for living. Notice the pragmatic balance here between strict discipline and human mercy. The text outlines strict personal rules for the believers. There are very specific dietary prohibitions. You're forbidden to eat carrion, blood, the flesh of swine, and anything dedicated to other than God. But it mercifully notes that if someone is compelled by absolute necessity without desiring to sin, they are forgiven. It also mandates fasting for a specified number of days, specifically during the month of Ramadan, which the text highlights as the month the Quran was revealed. But again, there's a built-in flexibility. The sick or those traveling are entirely exempt and can just make up the days later. The text explicitly states here that God desires ease for you and does not desire hardship.
Which leads us directly into Section 4, Laws for the Community, Societal Decrees. So, beyond individual worship and personal dietary habits, the source material dictates comprehensive laws regarding how an entire community must operate together. It regulates economics, family structures, and justice. And in doing so, it draws a stark contrast within its societal economics. It draws a massive line between charity and usury, or interest. Charity is highly praised. The text beautifully compares spending wealth in God's way to a single grain that produces 7 spikes with 100 grains in each spike. Commerce is explicitly permitted, but usury, that is strictly forbidden. The text graphically compares those who swallow usury to someone driven literally mad by Satan's touch, warning that clinging to it invites a war with God. In family law, it sets strict parameters for divorce, mandating a waiting period of 3 cycles and insisting that women be retained honorably or released kindly. And regarding justice, while it establishes the law of retaliation, the free for the free, it immediately encourages forgiveness as a merciful concession from God.
It is honestly fascinating to see what essentially amounts to ancient contract law right here in the text. The source provides incredibly specific step-by-step decrees for equitable commerce. Just think about how detailed this process for recording a debt is. It instructs believers to write down debts incurred for a certain period in all fairness. It specifies having a scribe write it. It mandates calling witnesses, 2 men or 1 man and 2 women, so that if one forgets, the other can remind her. It even includes clauses for when the debtor is mentally deficient or weak, saying their guardian should dictate with complete honesty. It explicitly warns witnesses never to conceal their testimony, stating that doing so makes one a sinner at heart. This is a level of administrative detail that shows this covenant isn't just about prayer, it's about fair, transparent human dealings to prevent doubt and maintain societal stability.
And finally, Section 5, the ultimate divine authority. To enforce all these incredibly dense decrees, from how to record a debt to how to perform a fast, the text builds to a cinematic description of the ultimate authority standing behind them. This crucial point is summarized in a famous passage known as the throne verse. After laying down all these laws, the text poetically asserts absolute, unending divine sovereignty. It declares that to him belongs everything in the heavens and on earth. It describes an authority so immense that his throne extends over the heavens and the earth, and their preservation does not burden him in the slightest. It's a really powerful reminder to the reader of exactly who is issuing these decrees.
But here is the catch, and it's a fascinating juxtaposition. Impartially, immediately after this massive display of cosmic power, the text notes that belief itself cannot be forced. Right after the throne verse, the source explicitly states, "There shall be no compulsion in religion." It argues that the right way has become perfectly distinct from the wrong way, and therefore, whoever renounces evil and believes has grasped a trustworthy handle that will never break. It's an amazing balance of ultimate authority paired with individual free will.
So we'll leave you with this final profound question drawn directly from the text's concluding verses. After hundreds of lines detailing strict covenants, historical failures, specific dietary laws, and complex societal rules, the text concludes with a plea for mercy, famously stating, "God does not burden any soul beyond its capacity." It leaves us to contemplate this delicate, intricate balance within the source material, between the absolute strictness of divine law and the ultimate grace of divine mercy. It is a text that demands everything, yet deeply acknowledges human limitation. Thanks so much for joining us as we unpack this incredible explainer.